So today you will need some Lego molds, some plastic containers or mixing bowls, spoons or mixing sticks, fragrance oil, colours, and toothpicks are also useful. I'm going to compare cold process soap with melt and pour. If you're using cold process soap, you'll need to use gloves and eye protection. First, let's use cold process. Mix your oils and lye water. For this demonstration, I'm going to be hand mixing only. Stick blenders are useful, but not a requirement if working on a small scale. It might take a bit longer, but eventually it will get there. If making all the soap one fragrance, add it at this step. Next, pick the colours that you want to use. I've tried to pick Lego appropriate colours. Get as many mixing bowls as you have colours, or use takeaway containers, but just make sure that you don't use them for food afterwards. Split the batter between the bowls. It doesn't have to be an even split, but it's up to you how much you make of each colour. Add a few drops or a sprinkle of your chosen colours to each container. You can always add more colour later, so add the minimal amount to start with. Stir in your colours, trying to make sure it's evenly mixed. Here's where to add more colour if you need it, or if you're making different scents, add the fragrance oil now. Spoon the mixture into the moulds. You can use the toothpicks here to try and pop any air bubbles in awkward places, like the little pegs on the Lego blocks. Now my blue and green look very similar, and to be honest, I don't like either of them. I definitely recommend using mica and not liquid dye in the cold process soap. Tap down the mould to get rid of any extra air bubbles. Now onto the melt and pour. Get your block and cut it into smaller pieces. One benefit of melt and pour is that you don't need to wear protective equipment. Even kids can make soap this way, under adult supervision. Once you've chopped up enough, melt it in the microwave and add your colour and fragrance. These can be added before or after melting. Another bonus of melt and pour is that it's super easy to make small batches, however you do have to be quick as it will start to harden. If you do end up with set melt and pour in your container, just put it back in the microwave and remelt it. Now to demould and compare. The cold process soap had to be left overnight before demoulding. As you can see, it had quite a few air bubbles and some of the smaller pieces broke off in the mould. The mica stayed yellow, but the liquid dyes all turned brown. The Lego men went a little bit better. The melt and pour colours were instantly better looking. I definitely recommend using liquid dye for these. The Lego men looked smoother and it picked up all the little details much better. The bricks were the same, no breakages and a much better result. So overall, melt and pour seems the clear winner, right? Well, not quite. The cold process soap will be better. Melt and pour doesn't even tend to bubble. Melt and pour also tends to sweat if not used pretty quickly, and if I'd used mica and left the soap a bit longer to set, the results might have been better for cold process. Overall, I'd say if doing this with kids, or mostly for the look, definitely use melt and pour. It's cheaper up front and pretty easy to use. But if quality soap is your goal, then use cold process, maybe do it a bit differently and use the correct dyes and leave it for longer.